welcome to Sourgrass Ranch, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing some sewing. I thought it would be really fun to make like a little Christmas tack set, like a little hat and a saddle pad and some leg boot wrap thingies. So yeah, I'm going to be using my sewing machine, but you can absolutely do this 100% by hand. I just prefer the sewing machine because it's much faster and its stitches are much more consistent. So yeah, just with that being said, let's start the video. So these were the pictures that I thought would be cute to base it off of. I have some leg wraps and a pretty cute little pad. And I'm also going to be making a Santa hat. So here I traced a saddle pad I already have, and it fits Serendipity pretty nicely, so I know that I will have a good fit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a seam allowance. I just need to add it around the edge. Just like that. So now I'm going to cut out my pattern. So I'm going to be making my saddle pad out of felt. You could use a different kind of fabric. I'm just choosing to use felt for this project because it's not going to fray and the color is nice and saturated. I have white for the inside. I like to line my my projects. Lining this is super easy. Pattern on our felt, and we're going to put the top edge on the fold, and I know it doesn't line up, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Then go ahead and pin it into place. A word of warning. We're going to be using sewing scissors for this project, and these have a sheath for a reason. So please be careful with these. If you're younger, please get an adult to help you. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my white. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our red pad and fold it in half. Then take your pattern and put it on top of the red. I'm going to use a pencil to trace the contour line onto my red felt. Pattern off and repin your felt in half. Let's do this. But you could stitch this 100% totally by hand. Another word of warning, sewing machines are dangerous. I hope you know this. If you're not comfortable with the sewing machine, then please get someone to help you. Just sew down the line that we've done. Trim off the excess. Be very careful not to cut your stitches. Now when you flip this right side out again, you have a nice contoured pad. Serendipity, can we get you over here for a minute so you can show us how this looks? Okay, so before we add the little decorative stitchings, we want to make sure that it is the correct size. I like the size that this one is, maybe just the tiniest bit bigger, so I need to trim mine a bit. Alright, mine looks good, so now I can go ahead and start adding the stitching. Okay, I'm just going to sew from one corner across to this corner and hope that I don't fail miserably. Okay, so I have all the stitching done this way. Now I just need to go back and do all the stitching this way. But it looks pretty good. It's retained its shape. The trick is when you get to the areas like the withers, you just lay it flat as it goes under the machine and you don't have any problems. I used a white bobbin thread, so it sort of like shows through in the spots where it does the sewing machine thing, and it looks cute. It almost looks like it's got glitters or something, but it's just little bits of white thread. So yeah, I finished that part, and now we can move on to the next part, which is adding the lining. So basically, just line it up. Sewing pins to hold it in place. And it's okay if it like ripples a little bit, just get it to lay flat around the edges. I used a lot of pins to be safe. Start at point A, and so sort of really close around the edge. We don't want this stitch to be visible, it's just to help things stay in place. Now you can take your sewing scissors and trim off the extra, and there you have the very basic shape of a pad. I think to help this out a little bit, I'm just gonna go with a line of stitching right down the middle to help it stay put along the center line. Okay, I got a little bit of an explosion here. Here we are. So it looks like a nice pad, except what are those? Seriously, these edges, they need some work. So to cover up this stuff, we're going to use a strip of felt. If you had bias tape, if you know what that is, it's a special kind of fabric that's cut in a certain way so that it does certain stuff. Look it up, I'm not good at explaining stuff. If you had bias tape, now would be an ideal time to use it, but I don't have bias tape, so I'm just going to use a little strip of felt. Let's go ahead and cut a nice long strip of felt, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch wide. Alright, I got my strip. It's a little jaggedy on this edge, but that's fine. So what we're gonna do basically is so take the edge of your strip. I took the factory cut edge of the felt along this edge, and then I just cut the rest of my strip accordingly. So put the factory cut edge along your pad like this, and then take this edge and fold it over like that. So eventually we're going to work its way all the way around the edge, and it'll neatly conceal our seam. Pin that into place. Alright, I have my line. It's not 100% neat and amazing, but I think it's gonna work fine. So if you have your pins stuck in the way I do, you really don't want them stuck in like that, but I couldn't manage to get them stuck in any other way aside from this. So, yeah, but ideally you would not want them. You would want them stuck into the side, not like this. Alright, I'm gonna rethread my sewing machine with white so that it will all blend nicely. Okay, so here it is. It's decent. If I had bias tape, I could have done better, but now what you're going to do is, if you need to, you can trim the excess out from underneath the pad. Alright, so I'm satisfied with this. You could add like a girth strap or an applique, but I think this one is fine. I am a little disappointed that I couldn't do better on the edging, but I'm satisfied with it. It's fine. And it's cute. It's so holiday-ish. It's like, and if you didn't want it to be like for a holiday, you could always just use it as a plain red pad. So I managed to coax Serendipity over here. It looks pretty good. It's a little thick, but I think that'll be fine. It'll help stay warm for the winter. So yeah, now we can move on to the leg wraps. A little note, I don't have a horse, so I don't really know like all the anatomy of a horse leg wrap, so I'm sort of just gonna make this up as I go along so that it stays on her leg and looks cute. So first you could measure this and do it like ultra precisionistically, but I'm not that thorough. But take your white felt and measure it about the entire length from under the knee to above the, I can't remember what this is called, but for me that's right about here. I'm fairly certain that's going to be an okay measurement for all of her legs, so I'm going to go ahead and cut enough with that measurement for all 4 of her legs. Now go ahead and take your fabric and measure it around the leg, leaving just like a hair of extra like this, and then mark and trim again, and then cut 2 of these for the front legs, and then I'm going to remeasure for the back legs. Take our red felt and cut a little stripe that's a little thinner than these, so I'm just gonna make some markings. Alright, and then I'm gonna cut a strip. I'm gonna do this off camera because I don't have very much space here. Alright, I have my little strip cut, so now go ahead and lay it over the middle of your white square. Leave a little overhanging on each side just to be safe, then trim it. We're going to want to do the same thing for the back legs. Now I'm going to take one square of white and one rectangle of red and lay them together like this to pin it into place. Make sure you line it up so everything is centered. So a rectangle around the outer edge of the red. Here we have it, just like that, and then repeat for the other ones. So I have these. Now we can try them on. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be so cute. So now you can trim the tab off of one side. And eventually when we're all done, it's going to have a cute little buckle and it'll wrap around like this to close. Now we're going to make some buckles. I have some wire here. It's a little thicker than I would need, but it's nice and sturdy. And here I have my pliers. Just gonna make a couple little buckles. Alright, so here I have my little tiny buckles. Now I'm going to flip these over, and I have some faux suede cord. If you don't have this, you could always just use string or cut strips of felt or whatever material you have. I think for this I'm going to use the black. So I'm just going to cut a little length. And my cord is really thick. I've tried to get it to separate because it's like two pieces that have been glued together. And they will not budge. So I mean, that's probably a good thing, but in my case it's a bad thing that they won't come unglued. So I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do, but I guess I'll just have to go on. So I'm gonna feed one side through the buckle, come back out here. Go ahead and do this for both the buckles. I'm gonna plug in my glue gun and then I can glue those. Alright, my ultra hot glue gun of death is warmed up, and I suggest being so careful because I have a high temp one and I have burned myself with it before and it really does not feel good at all. So to help me out with this, I'm going to just borrow a pair of pliers. Okay, so I finished all the little itty bitty tiny buckles. Let's try this on. So now take your little strip of leather and trim the end, and then add a drop of glue, and then just go ahead and place that on like that. Press down and be patient while the hot glue dries. And then go ahead and repeat, but a mirror image on the other side. Okay, I finished putting the little tiny buckles on them, so I'm going to set the back ones aside and use one of the front ones again. Okay, I think they're done. Let me try one on Serendipity and see if it works. Yeah, I ruined it. I glued this down all the way. Alright, I think I fixed it. Let's try it on Serendipity. Let's see if these little Santa-themed leg wraps work. I think I'm gonna go find a pair of tweezers. I had to put it on off camera because it was kind of hard to do it on camera, but oh my gosh, it's so cute. I don't really know what it would qualify as, like a leg wrap or a polo wrap, or I'm not really sure. But it's finished and it's so cute. Y'all, so this video is getting a little long. I'm sort of bad at making stuff brief, so I'm going to go ahead and finish off this project in the next video, and that's going to have an adorable little Santa hat and a fantastic ending skit. So I will see you guys in that one. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you soon again. And see you on the backcountry trails of Sourgrass Ranch.